Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! All his notifications were ghosting, except for one. Mandatory team bonding exercise. Building bridges between boundaries. Colin Morrison, stony-faced, studied the headlines with increasing dismay. He rolled his eyes over to the adjacent itinerary, unimpressed by terms such as icebreakers, trust-building exercises, or team game challenges. Scanning the edges of his display, however, his eyes rolled about in mock protest, only to halt, transfixed, on one section. The Drag Day Challenge. "That's not right," he mumbled, shocked. The unsettling caption recommended all personnel to cross-dress, to challenge preconceptions and instill respect. "Colin, what y'all saying?" His chair shifted, rocking him back, dropping his mug almost in his lap, which spilled the content over his light trousers. He towered above Joe, who, alarmed, was chipping in with lunch supplies in the small, open kitchen area. Melissa from marketing peered over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the email. "Oh, the retreat! I'm actually excited about it, especially day 2. She winked. "I've got the perfect suit and tie picked out already." "You can't be serious. This is ridiculous." "It's just clothes, Dawn. Besides, HR says participation is mandatory for everyone, team bonding and all that." She patted his shoulder. "Loosen up. It might be fun." Fun wasn't the word Donovan would have chosen. Mortifying, perhaps. Professionally suicidal, definitely. He closed the email, deciding to speak with his manager about an exemption. Surely there had to be a way out of this humiliation. There wasn't. "I understand your discomfort," his manager explained with practiced corporate sympathy. "But this initiative comes straight from the CEO. She believes breaking conventional barriers will help our teams communicate more effectively." 2 weeks later, Donovan found himself tossing a duffel bag into the trunk of his car, the dreaded retreat upon him. The lakeside resort was admittedly beautiful. Rustic cabins nestled among pine trees, a glassy lake reflecting the morning sun. Under different circumstances, he might have appreciated the scenery. Day 1 passed in a blur of team-building exercises. They built spaghetti towers, navigated a low ropes course, and shared vulnerable truths around an evening campfire. Donovan participated with minimal enthusiasm, his mind fixed on tomorrow's humiliation. That night, he lay awake in his cabin, listening to his roommate's gentle snoring. Maybe he could fake an illness, or perhaps an urgent family emergency would materialize by morning. He checked his phone. 2:17 a.m. Sleep remained elusive as anxiety churned in his stomach. Morning arrived with cruel punctuality. After breakfast, the group gathered in the main lodge where Linda from HR stood beside several racks of clothing. "Good morning, team! Today we explore gender perspectives. Everyone will select an outfit from our collection. Remember, this exercise isn't about mockery, but understanding. The costumes are sized to accommodate everyone." The women seemed enthusiastic, rifling through dress shirts and slacks with good-natured laughter. The men hung back, exchanging uncomfortable glances. "Donovan Mitchell?" Linda called, consulting her clipboard. "Let's start with you. I've pre-selected some options that should fit your frame." His legs felt leaden as he approached. Linda held up a floral summer dress with a sweetheart neckline and capped sleeves. The pattern featured pink and purple flowers against a cream background. He stared at it in horror. "I also have nude pantyhose and these lovely red pumps in your size," she continued, seemingly oblivious to his distress. "The changing rooms are through that door. Our makeup station is set up for anyone who wants assistance." The dress felt impossibly light in his hands. Donovan retreated to the changing room, a small voice in his head still searching for escape routes. Finding none, he reluctantly shed his jeans and button-down shirt. The pantyhose came first, a strange sensation as they slid up his legs. The dress followed, fabric settling around his frame with unfamiliar lightness. The zipper proved challenging, requiring contortions he'd never attempted before. Finally, the red pumps, surprisingly stable given their 3-inch heels, though walking would clearly require concentration. He avoided the mirror, unwilling to confront his transformation. Outside the changing room, a makeup artist waited.
"Just the basics,"
he mumbled, closing his eyes as she applied foundation, blush, mascara, and a pale pink lipstick. "You've got great bone structure," she commented, "and your blonde hair works perfectly with this look. Let me just—" She spritzed something that smelled like apples, fluffing his hair to soften his features. "All done. Take a look." Reluctantly, Donovan opened his eyes. The mirror reflected a stranger, someone with his features but softened, feminized. The dress accentuated a waist he didn't know he had. The makeup transformed his face, highlighting cheekbones and making his blue eyes appear larger, more expressive. "What do you think?" the makeup artist asked. "I don't know," he answered honestly. "You need a name for today," Linda announced, appearing beside him. "Part of inhabiting the perspective." "I haven't thought about—" "Clara," suggested the makeup artist. "You look like a Clara." And so Clara emerged from the changing room, wobbling slightly in the red pumps. The reaction was immediate. Whistles and encouraging applause from coworkers already transformed into their opposite gender personas. "Wow, Clara! You look amazing!" called out Marcus from accounting, now sporting a blonde wig and summer dress. Donovan felt his face burning with embarrassment. He found a chair in the corner, trying to make himself invisible despite the conspicuous outfit. "Today's activities begin with a gender-specific task exchange," Linda announced. "Men, you'll experience traditionally female-coded activities, and women, you'll tackle typically male-coded tasks." The morning passed in a strange blur. Donovan learned to apply nail polish alongside his male colleagues, participated in a fashion consultation workshop, and navigated the challenges of using the women's restroom, with special accommodations and signage for the day. The most surprising aspect wasn't the activities themselves, but his gradual adjustment to them. By lunchtime, he'd mastered walking in heels without resembling a newborn giraffe. The dress, initially so foreign, now felt almost natural against his skin. When he caught glimpses of himself in reflective surfaces, the shock had diminished. During the afternoon communication exercises, something unexpected happened. Paired with the CEO, dressed convincingly in a custom suit, Donovan found himself speaking differently, more expressively, with hand gestures he'd never used before. The clothing somehow freed him from his usual reserved demeanor.
"Clara has excellent insights,"
the CEO commented during the group reflection.
"I've worked with Donovan for 3 years and never heard him express himself so eloquently."
Others nodded in agreement. For the first time that day, the heat in Donovan's cheeks wasn't from embarrassment, but something closer to pride. As the day progressed, he found himself enjoying aspects of this new persona. The freedom of movement in the dress, the attention his appearance garnered. Even the ritual of checking his makeup felt strangely satisfying. That evening, as participants changed back into their regular clothes for dinner, Donovan hesitated. The day was officially over, but he felt a peculiar reluctance to shed Clara's identity. "You can keep the outfit if you want," Linda said, noticing his hesitation. "We bought everything new for this event. Consider it a souvenir." He carefully packed the dress, pantyhose, and pumps into a discreet bag, telling himself it was merely to avoid awkward questions about returning them. The final day of the retreat passed without incident. Co-workers referenced Gender Day with good-natured jokes, but the experience had created a surprising camaraderie. Donovan participated more actively than before, something inside him having shifted. Driving home Sunday evening, the bag containing Clara's outfit sat on his passenger seat. He told himself he would dispose of it, donate it perhaps, but found himself hanging the dress in his closet instead, tucking the shoes into a corner where they remained visible each morning as he selected his daily suit and tie. A week passed, then 2. The dress hung untouched but impossible to ignore. During a sleepless Tuesday night, Donovan found himself opening his laptop and visiting clothing websites he'd never browsed before. Before he could reconsider, he placed an order for a blue dress similar to the floral one, adding black heels and appropriate undergarments to the cart. The packages arrived discreetly on Friday. He left them unopened until Saturday morning, telling himself repeatedly that curiosity wasn't a crime. It was merely an experiment, an extension of the retreat's lessons about perspective. The new dress fit perfectly, a royal blue A-line with quarter-length sleeves. Unlike the retreat, this time he deliberately stood before the mirror, studying his reflection as he added the elements that transformed him. The pantyhose smoothed his legs. The dress created curves. The black heels changed his posture, accentuating different muscle groups. Without the makeup team, he had to improvise, following online tutorials with supplies purchased from the drugstore. The results were less polished, but effective enough. His blonde hair, slightly longer now since he'd missed his regular haircut appointment, softened his features when styled differently. Clara looked back at him from the mirror, not a costume this time, but a choice. That first Saturday, he didn't leave his apartment. He simply existed in this new form, adjusting to movement, practicing speech patterns, discovering how this version of himself navigated space differently. He ordered delivery and thanked the courier in a voice pitched slightly higher than normal, feeling a thrill when addressed as "ma'am." The next weekend, Clara ventured outside. A coffee shop across town provided anonymity. Wearing the blue dress with a light cardigan and the black heels, she ordered a latte and sat by the window, heart pounding as she waited for someone to expose her secret. Nobody did. The barista smiled, complimenting her earrings, simple studs purchased online. "Thank you," she replied, the feminine voice becoming more natural with practice. These weekend explorations expanded gradually. A bookstore the following Saturday, a movie matinee after that. Each successful outing built confidence. Clara's wardrobe grew accordingly. A burgundy pencil skirt, a green sweater dress for cooler days, comfortable flats for longer excursions. Donovan maintained the separation carefully. Weekdays belonged to him, the competent accountant in pressed shirts and conservative ties. Weekends belonged to Clara, exploring a world that reacted to her differently, that offered different courtesies and challenges. This balance worked until the company holiday party in December. The invitation specified formal attire, and Donovan found himself staring at his closet with unusual indecision. His hand reached past his charcoal suit, fingering the silky material of a recently purchased black cocktail dress he'd found on sale. The thought arrived fully formed. What if Clara attended instead? He dismissed it immediately. The retreat had been sanctioned. This would be a professional catastrophe, yet the idea lingered, persistent and alluring. The night of the party, Donovan arrived in his charcoal suit, exactly as expected. He mingled appropriately, discussed fourth-quarter projections, and left at a reasonable hour. But the experience felt hollow, as though he'd sent an avatar while his authentic self remained locked away. That night marked a turning point. The compartmentalization that had seemed so necessary began feeling increasingly artificial. Clara wasn't merely a weekend hobby, but an essential aspect of his identity struggling for integration. January brought a job opportunity, a senior position at a smaller firm across town. The interview process moved quickly, and by February, Donovan had submitted his resignation.
"We'll miss you,"
his manager said during the exit interview.
"May I ask why you're leaving? Was it something about our culture?"
He considered the question carefully.
"I need an environment where I can bring my whole self to work."
His final day arrived with the usual cake and card. Colleagues wished him well, extracted promises to stay in touch. He packed his desk methodically, leaving no trace of himself behind. The chapter was closing. 2 weeks later, Clara walked into the boutique accounting firm for her first day. The royal blue dress was professionally cut, paired with nude heels and subtle makeup. Her blonde hair, grown out over months and professionally styled, framed a face that projected confidence despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Welcome to Westridge Financial," the receptionist greeted her. "You must be Clara Mitchell. Everyone's excited to meet you." The transition wasn't without challenges. There were practical considerations: legal name changes, updated identification, medical consultations about long-term options. There were emotional hurdles: telling family members, reconnecting with friends as her authentic self, navigating new social dynamics. But each step felt right, like finding pieces of a puzzle that had been scattered for too long. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and warmer days. Clara sat at an outdoor cafe, reviewing client files while enjoying the sunshine. Her phone chimed with a calendar reminder. The annual charity run sponsored by local businesses was approaching. Her new firm had a team, and as the newest member, she'd been encouraged to participate.
"Joining the company team?"
asked Michael, sliding into the chair across from her. As the firm's marketing director, he'd been particularly welcoming during her first months. "I'm considering it," she replied, closing her laptop. "Though I haven't run since college."
"It's more walk than run for most of us," he assured her. "Besides, it's for a good cause."
She nodded, making a mental note to shop for appropriate athletic wear, another wardrobe category requiring attention.
"Some of us are getting dinner after this planning meeting," Michael continued. "You're welcome to join. No pressure, but it might be nice to know your colleagues outside the office."
Clara hesitated. Her social circle had contracted during transition, a natural consequence of reinvention. The invitation represented another step toward building a complete life. "I'd like that," she decided. "Thank you." That evening, surrounded by new colleagues sharing appetizers and workplace stories, Clara realized she'd crossed an invisible threshold. This wasn't merely about presentation or pronouns, but about creating a life that aligned with her internal truth. The following weekend, she visited her parents, a trip postponed repeatedly due to anxiety about their reaction. They had met Clara before, struggling with pronouns and asking well-intentioned but occasionally painful questions. This visit felt different, not an introduction, but an affirmation. Her mother opened the door, embracing her without hesitation. "We made your favorite lasagna," she said, as if nothing had changed while acknowledging that everything had. Her father,
initially more reserved, watched her throughout dinner. As they cleared the dishes, he spoke quietly.
You seem happy, more present somehow.
I am, she confirmed. This is who I've always been, even when I couldn't recognize it. He nodded, accepting this truth without fully understanding it, an act of love in itself. Spring melted into summer. Clara established routines that felt natural: morning coffee on her balcony, weekly yoga classes, dinner with colleagues who became friends. Her professional reputation grew. Clients appreciated her attention to detail and clear communication. The company retreat arrived with far less anxiety than its predecessor. Among her new colleagues, Clara was simply herself. No explanations required, no dual identity to maintain. She participated fully in team-building exercises, offered insights during strategic planning sessions, and joined the evening volleyball game despite athletic limitations. On the retreat's final evening, a conversation by the fire pit turned reflective. "What's your biggest professional learning from the past year?" the CEO asked, passing around marshmallows for toasting. When Clara's turn arrived, she considered the journey that had brought her to this moment. "I've learned that authenticity isn't just personally fulfilling, it's professionally valuable," she said. "When we expend energy hiding parts of ourselves, that energy isn't available for creativity, problem-solving, or connection." Others nodded in recognition, sharing their own versions of this universal truth. The conversation meandered, touching on failures embraced and risks rewarded. Clara listened, occasionally adding perspectives shaped by her unique experience. Later, walking back to her cabin beneath a canopy of stars, she felt a profound contentment. The path hadn't been straightforward. There would always be challenges, medical considerations, occasional misunderstandings, the political climate that sometimes questioned her right to exist authentically. But these concerns existed alongside joy, community, and purpose, a balance that once seemed impossible. The next morning, packing her suitcase, Clara folded a cream-colored blouse and navy skirt carefully between tissue paper. These weren't costumes or disguises, but simply clothes that reflected her identity. The woman in the mirror with blonde hair tucked behind her ears was neither a weekend experiment nor a retreat activity, but her complete self. Driving home, she reflected on the strange gift of that first corporate retreat, how an activity designed as a temporary perspective shift had instead revealed a permanent truth. Life's defining moments rarely announced themselves in advance. They arrived disguised as ordinary days, uncomfortable situations, or in her case, a floral summer dress and red pumps that had initiated a journey home to herself. Summer transitioned to autumn. Clara's one-year anniversary at Westridge approached, coinciding with her decision to begin hormone therapy after extensive consultation with medical professionals. Each step brought her physical presentation closer to her internal identity. The company holiday party arrived, marking a full cycle since Donovan had stood before his closet, contemplating choices that seemed impossible then. This year, Clara selected an emerald green dress that complemented her eyes, paired with silver accessories and comfortable heels suitable for an evening of celebration. The venue sparkled with holiday decorations. Colleagues complimented her appearance, engaged her in conversations about year-end projects and vacation plans. Michael remained attentive throughout the evening, their friendship having evolved into tentative romance over shared lunches and weekend museum visits.
"You're glowing tonight,"
he commented, bringing her a glass of sparkling water. "I'm happy," she replied simply. "This time last year was complicated." He knew parts of her story, shared carefully over months of building trust. And now? Now everything makes sense. She accepted the glass, their fingers brushing. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The evening continued with awards, presentations, and light-hearted speeches. When the music started, Michael extended his hand in invitation. Clara accepted, moving on to the dance floor with confidence that would have been unimaginable a year earlier. As they danced, she caught their reflection in the venue's mirrored wall, her green dress swirling, her blonde hair catching the light. The image showed nothing of the journey, only its result. A woman embracing joy without reservation. Later, as they walked through the crisp night air toward waiting taxis, Michael paused. I've been meaning to ask, would you like to spend New Year's Eve together? My sister hosts a small gathering. Nothing fancy, just good food and better company. The invitation represented another threshold, meeting family, acknowledging their relationship publicly. Clara considered momentarily before nodding. I'd like that very much. Their goodbye featured a gentle kiss, promising future possibilities. Clara watched his taxi depart before climbing into her own, providing her address to the driver. The apartment welcomed her home, a space fully transformed from Donovan's bachelor efficiency to Clara's thoughtfully decorated haven. Photographs documented her journey, hiking with new friends, holidays with gradually accepting family, professional achievements at Westridge. Removing her earrings, Clara studied her reflection. Hormone therapy had softened her features further. Voice training had eliminated the need for conscious pitch adjustment. The person in the mirror aligned increasingly with her internal image. She reached for the back zipper of her emerald dress, remembering how she'd once struggled with the floral retreat costume. Now, the movement came naturally, one of countless small adaptations that collectively created authenticity. The dress joined others in her closet, a collection that represented not disguise, but disclosure, each garment allowing her to present her true self to the world. No more weekend experiments or compartmentalized identities. Only Clara, navigating life's complexities and joys like anyone else. Sleep came easily that night, untroubled by the anxiety that had once been her constant companion. Tomorrow would bring ordinary challenges and ordinary pleasures. The miraculous part wasn't that she'd transformed, but that transformation had revealed what was always there. A self finally recognized, finally free. Morning light filtered through curtains, illuminating another day of possibilities. Clara stretched, mentally reviewing her weekend plans, brunch with colleagues, a gallery opening Michael had mentioned, perhaps some holiday shopping. Ordinary activities made extraordinary only by the presence of contentment. The journey hadn't ended. Personal evolution never did. But the desperate seeking had transformed into purposeful becoming. Each day brought new opportunities to align her outer world with her inner truth, to strengthen connections with those who saw and accepted her completely. Rising, Clara moved to the window. The city stretched before her, familiar and new simultaneously. Like her, it contained multitudes, past and present intertwined, continuously remaking itself while honoring its foundations. She opened the window slightly, breathing in the cool morning air. Whatever challenges awaited, she would meet them as herself. No retreat, no costume, no performance. Only Clara, finally and completely home.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!